Hi, welcome back to A Biblical Walk. My name is Calissa, and the Lord has just been putting on my heart to share this amazing testimony that He has given me about my mental health, and in hopes that I can encourage someone else who is in a battle with their mental health. I know so many people struggle with it, and in the Christian community, it's, I guess, kind of taboo to talk about. So I just want to share that with you guys and give you guys some things that the Lord has shown me in my healing journey and how to handle it. So, I guess to give you guys some background, when I was 23, I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder with psychotic features. So, I guess it really started when I was about 13. I started having severe depression, and that led to all kinds of other things. I had really bad body dysphoria for a long time, and just a lot of other things that I may get into in another video. But I guess to kind of describe what bipolar disorder is like, for me personally and just my experience with it, I know mental health varies between every single person. So just from my own experience, bipolar 2 is where I had a lot of hypomanic and intense depression, and it varies. It goes back and forth. Hypomanic phases. Thank the Lord that I never had a full-blown manic episode. I have bipolar disorder runs in my family, so I have seen manic episodes firsthand quite a few times. But for hypomanic, was really just extreme energy and mind racing is how I would describe it. Can't focus on anything. And in honesty, whenever you're in the middle of it, it feels good. It feels like a good thing, I was getting everything done that I needed to do. I had all of this energy. I loved to talk, loved to be around people when I was in that stage, and I would talk 90 to nothing about everything that was on my mind, which was a lot, to the point that I couldn't focus on anything. For a depression episode, those were very rough. That was, that did not feel good. I used to describe it as a dark cloud, and I think that's a pretty good description. Like, everything is coming down on you. Like, your shoulders are bearing the weight of the world. Every little thing feels like a major thing, and there is no hope. There is no happiness, no peace, no hope of ever getting out of it. It feels like this is the way that life is going to be for forever, even though I could have just been full of energy a few days ago and everything felt right with the world. But now I didn't want to be in the world anymore because it was hopeless, and it felt like death. So Ephesians 2, where he is talking about being dead in sin, that chapter has always really struck me because I love to journal. I've journaled since I was little, since I knew how to write, and I wrote so much about feeling like I was dead, like there was nothing. And it makes complete sense now, now that I know God, I know who the giver of life is, I know who the giver of joy and peace is. It all makes sense now. But I didn't understand that I was dead in sin, that I was dead in the world. And I think it's so beautiful though, because now I have such an appreciation for everything. I have such an appreciation for the small things, for the good things. I am so thankful every time anything feels good, and it's just a small part of the miracle that God has worked in my life. So to get more into my testimony of what God has done, I tried therapy for years. I went to therapy a lot. I tried many different medications. I tried filling it with everything that the world says to fill it with relationships and friendships and travel and money and just everything that everyone told me would fill this hole and this void in my heart, would make me feel like I was fixed and better. Nothing worked. It was, and I'm not saying that my life was just, void of any good, because it wasn't. There were lots of good times, but I can't even compare it. Paul actually says that he thinks that the joy that is coming can't even compare to the things that they were feeling right then, and that is exactly it. I can't even compare the things that I thought were good back then to the things that I know are good now, because I didn't know joy until God showed me joy. I didn't know peace until God showed me peace. And as I've just grown closer to him, and as I've just cast all my cares on him, every single time, to start with, it was every single time that I was feeling low and I would try to go back to the things that used to make me feel better. Every time I was feeling racing thoughts and like I couldn't control anything, I would go back to the things that used to give me the feeling of control. And God was like, no. God was like, that is not going to heal you. That is not going to fix you. And after him telling me no so many times, and it didn't even affect me anymore. The things that I used to think, made me feel so much better, they didn't even touch it anymore. But what did was God. And I learned that whenever I am feeling like the world is falling apart and I don't know what to do, I have to run to God. And in doing that, he has shown me how faithful he is. I can feel like things are falling apart, and I can read my Bible and I can pray and call out to him and just talk to him. And it's truly a supernatural peace and comfort. He shows me things. Whenever I was younger, whenever I was starting to feel this way, I would open my Bible to a random page at times, and I would just start reading, and I would be like, God, just show me something to make me stop feeling like this. And he was so faithful. I can't even count the number of times that I would open my Bible to a random page and just start reading, and everything would just hit on exactly what I was feeling and what I was thinking, and it was just exactly what I needed to know. But the older that I got, and the more that I let what the world says fixes in, and the less I started turning to him, the more I forgot all of the good that he had showed me, and all of the good that he had done, and all of the peace that he had given me. And so it wasn't until really I was desperate. Nothing else was working. Medications, they were a temporary fix, and they had a whole slew of side effects that were just another thing to deal with. I remember, I would take a antidepressant, I would take a mood stabilizer, I would take something for sleep, something for anxiety. I would have to take vitamins and all kinds of things because I couldn't hardly eat, for weeks at a time. And I have been off all of medication for years now, and I have not had a full-blown depressive episode or a hypomanic episode. I still get excited about things, and sometimes things still make me sad and I cry, but it is a world different. But it only comes from turning to him the moment that I start feeling those feelings. And it has grown us closer. I fully believe that when we go through hard things in life, but we handle pain in God's way, when we turn to him and give it to him, he uses that thing that was so difficult and so hard and so terrible, and he uses it as a tool to bring us closer. Not because he wants to see us hurt, but because life apart from him, it is painful. Life in general is painful, but apart from him, it will never feel whole. There is a reason why we feel so broken, why there feels like a hole in our hearts. And it's because it was always meant to be filled with him. When you try to have a life separate from everything that your life was supposed to be about, it's inevitable that it's not going to feel right. And I think so many of us know that it doesn't feel right, know that this isn't what we want, but we don't know what's going to fix it. Maybe we're not even willing to look at that hole. I know many of times I was in denial. I know a lot of people who are still in denial about how broken we truly are. But when you realize your brokenness, and when you realize that there is only one who can fix it, it's like anything else. Whenever something is broken, you don't turn to another item to try to fix it. You don't turn to something that's ultimately destructive to try to fix it. You turn to the creator, the manufacturer. They are the one who can fix it. And that is exactly who God is. That is exactly who our Messiah and our Savior is, the one who can fix it. And I can't stress enough how beautiful he has made life. How I can be doing nothing and I am at peace. I can be excited and happy over the tiniest small things, the things that are huge or would have felt huge back then. They, as they would say, roll off my back. And I know because I tried everything else. I couldn't do it on my own. There was no possible way. I'm talking about years of going to therapy multiple times a week. And I'm not saying that therapy isn't great. I think that everyone could use therapy at some point in their life. It showed me so much about myself, and I learned great coping mechanisms. But they were not the cure. I'm not saying that medication is bad. I think that medication has a rightful spot, but it took me so many medications just to find one that fixed more of my problems than the problems that it created for me, if that makes sense. And I think if you've ever tried medication for mental health, then you probably understand. The side effects were almost as bad. With some of the medications, the side effects were even worse than the actual bipolar. Something else that I wanted to touch on is, so I told you my diagnosis, bipolar 2 with psychotic features. the psychotic features part. I legitimately feel like it was a spiritual attack now. Whenever I used to call them intrusive thoughts, it was like my mind would just start going with things that I felt like I was in no control over. These voices, the things that were going on inside of my head, it was not me. I didn't want them, but I couldn't stop them. I couldn't control them. God has turned it around in this crazy way that I will try to explain, but it's like, now that I know God's truth and what God says about me, what God says about my life, how much He loves me, how honored and precious I am, now that I know that He cares, every time something hurts me, He cares, He cries with us. It's like those thoughts come into my mind and I focus on God, and it's like these whole other thoughts start rolling in to combat it. And I fully believe it's God fighting on my behalf. But I just start thinking of all of these good things. And it's like the lies don't have a hold on me anymore. The lies don't faze me anymore because I know the truth. And the truth is so much bigger and so much stronger. And if you have ever had these kinds of thoughts that you don't want to think, and thoughts that are negative, demeaning, hateful, hurtful, broken, when God steps in and changes those thoughts to how loved you are, how beautiful you are, how it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside because your heart is gold, it's insane, it's divine, it's miraculous. And I feel so honored to have a testimony of God's goodness in my life. And I think it's really hard sometimes for me to even share it with people because of the look of mental health, of depression, of anxiety, of bipolar disorder. Nobody wants to hear about it unless you're going through it. Then it doesn't really matter if you want to hear about it because it is present every day. But what I want to stress is that there is hope. There is healing. Jeremiah 17:14 says, "Heal me, Lord, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved." And that is it right there, guys. Call on the Lord. Get into His word. Pray, focus, cast all of your cares on Him. Seek the things of above and not what's going on around you, and sometimes not even what's going on inside of you. It will change your entire life. God can change your entire life. And I know because He's done it. And I know so many other people who have a testimony of God's faithfulness and goodness and how He has just completely changed their lives around and changed them from the inside out. He changes the inside, and that's what changes everything else. But you have to run to Him. He is faithful. He will be there. You don't have to live in the depression. You don't have to live in the anxiety. You don't have to live in a life that feels so broken. You don't have to live with the void in your heart. You don't have to go another moment not understanding who you really are, not who everyone else says you are, but the one who created you, the one who knows your heart and knows your thoughts, the one who saw your life before you were even in your mother's womb, the one who has a plan and a purpose for you. When you realize and you understand who He says you are, that's when you know who you are. And it changes everything. So I pray that this word has blessed you. If you are struggling, send me an email, send me a comment. I will pray for you. I will pray for your healing and your restoration. I will fight for you on your behalf and bring your name to the Lord. I want everyone to feel the peace that he has given me. I want everyone to have the joy that he has given me. There is nothing special about me except God, that I am a child of God, that I was created in his image. That is what is special about me, and that is what is special about you too. And there are no inner thoughts, nothing in this world that can take that from you unless you allow it. So I'm going to do a few more videos as the Lord calls me to on mental health. I have a lot that I would love to share. So Lord willing, I'll be back with another video soon. And if you want to see more videos on this subject and hear some more of what God has taught me and how I've gotten to this point, then like, subscribe, and I will be back soon, Lord willing.